Oh yeah? Well, screw you guys, I'm going home.
What's up, YouTube? Okay, so in my last video, I had people telling me that my PC wasn't really low end. And technically for PC games, yeah, it's still low end, but it's not that low end. It can handle some modern titles, but not AAA new titles like Cyberpunk, Red Dead 2. It can't play those. But my CPU released in March 2008, GPU in 2014. Okay, it's 2022. There's stuff that's miles better. So I would say my PC is pretty low end. Okay, that out of the way, PCSX2 official website recommends pass mark single thread performance rating near or greater to 1600. Okay, and a GTX 750. I have a 750 Ti. That's for 1080p. Some games I can actually get to run in 1440p smooth. Okay, so 1600, right? This number right here. Here's my CPU. It actually has 1220 single thread rating. So I'm below the minimum requirement. But I'm going to show you you can still play games if you want to. Okay, so for the actual emulator, go to PCSX2.net, go to the downloads page at the top. I would actually recommend getting the nightly release instead of a stable, because it has the new UI and everything. So click nightly releases, go to whatever platform you're on. For me, it's Windows. If you have a newer CPU, and you can Google this, see if your CPU has AVX2. Well, pretty much all older CPUs have, and newer ones have SSE4. But if yours has AVX2, then download the 64-bit AVX2 QT. If not, get the SSE4 for older CPUs. Okay? I have a Core 2 Quad CPU, Q9550, 2.83 gigahertz. I have no overclock on the CPU or GPU. Okay, display 750 Ti right there. Okay, same in Task Manager. Q9550 and GTX 750 Ti. Okay, so here we are. Emulator's up. Right off the bat, I will say there are games that I just cannot run. They run too slow no matter what I do. So all the ones I have here are ones I've been able to run. I haven't tested every game, but I've tested a good chunk of them. Okay, if you want your emulator to look like this, you see this tab up here? You can go from list view to the grid view right here, and you can change the size of your covers. So I like mine on 3 right there. And you have to get your covers on your own. You can either Google them or scan them yourself, whatever. Alright, let's get into this. First, we're going to go to View, Settings. I'm going to go to Interface. And pretty much just copy my settings that I have. I'll explain something along the way if I need to. You might see my theme's dark. I actually have a custom theme. But you can click on this, and if there's any extra, you can pick what you want, okay? Game list. You'll make a folder for your games, and you can just put it in this folder right here, okay? BIOS. Here's the thing. I'm not going to tell you where to get the BIOS. You have to get that on your own. I would recommend dumping it from your actual console and dumping your games. So don't ask me how to get any of that. I'm not going to tell you. Okay, in this section where it says enable cheats, I guess there are some instances where having this enabled will actually break some games, but you can turn that off in per game settings. So I recommend leaving it checked. And make sure you check enable per game settings. That's very important. Also, MTVU and Instant VU1, make sure these are checked. These are going to help almost every game run faster, pretty much. The same with MVU flag hack. Make sure that's checked. Okay, with the graphics, the renderer, I've actually had the best success on my setup with Vulkan. I've tested all of these. I've put in hours of testing, and Vulkan runs the best for me with my graphics card and CPU. So you can test that on your own if you have VSync. I recommend leaving it off, but if you think the screen tearing's annoying, you can check that. Anti-blur doesn't hurt performance from what I've seen, but it helps alleviate the blurring of the PS2. Rendering, okay. If you have a GPU that is around a 750 Ti or better, I would recommend 1080p. If you have a CPU older or weaker than that and your games are lagging, I would recommend dropping this. You can drop it in increments. I'd recommend going from 1080 to 720. See how it runs. Then if you have to, you can drop it to native. I also have FXAA enabled, but you can disable this if you need extra performance. Okay, for the audio, I recommend Hermite and X Audio 2. I don't think the audio really has anything to do with performance from what I've seen. It doesn't affect performance at all, but I would recommend staying pretty much in the middle. It works pretty good for me. Okay, for your memory cards, some games act funny with certain memory cards, but I would recommend clicking create, and see how 8 megabytes says most compatible. That's the one I would recommend sticking with. But what I like to do is actually create a folder. See, it says folder recommended. I recommend that because you can save as much as you want. And you can name the folder anything you want. I named mine main card. Network, none of this really matters. There's your folders, all your default folders, wherever you placed your PCSX2. Achievements, I'm not going to go through this. It's called Retro Achievements. You can Google it. You can make an account and you have achievements for all your old games. This is what I'm going to get into with per game settings. So I recommend keeping your global everything like I have, but per game you change settings when you need to. Settings, controller. Okay. Okay, so for your controller, the new PCSX2 update will actually automatically map your controller by clicking this button up here. As long as you have it plugged in, when you start PCSX2, you can click automatic. It'll do it for you. Okay. Your rumble, you can set your rumble and pressure and everything. Set that yourself. Your hotkeys, you can set those yourself. And then you want to make sure you click Save Profile. Okay. You want to right click on the game you want to change. Here you can set cover image. You can choose your boot option, fast boot, full boot. Full boot shows the BIOS, but I would recommend using fast boot because some games break if you don't. But for the in-game, per game settings, you want to click Properties. And the same menu will come up. Okay. This is pretty much where I recommend changing any settings so that you don't break other games. And one of the two biggest settings that help games is cycle rate and cycle skip. If you have a weaker CPU and your games are running slow or lagging, the first one I would recommend changing is the cycle rate. You can go from 75% speed, see if that helps, see if your speed goes up. I find that this helps a lot. So games can be running at like 60% speed, and I can drop this down to 50 or 60, and they'll go up to 100% speed with just less in-game frame rate. Like as you see, if you read that, it says increasing will increase CPU requirements. Lower values will decrease that. So it'll allow games to run on weaker CPUs. The next thing you can try, if that doesn't help, you can try cycle skip. This can break games, but mild usually helps a lot of games run smoother. It's not going to be perfect, but if there is a game you really want to play, you can try changing these settings to get it to run. And all this I recommend default. Some games, if you look at the PCSX2 wiki, some games require certain settings for system, game fixes, and the graphic settings. Some games require different renderers and stuff like that. But I would pretty much recommend keeping everything like I have it and only changing the cycle rate and cycle skip. Okay. Now I'm going to... Okay, so for the gameplay, I'm going to use asterisk and obliques as an example. I do lose a few frames when recording, by the way. So you see it's smooth. And this is somewhat of a hard game to run. So you want to go out of full screen, click on View, Game Properties, and this is the settings I'm using to get it to run smooth. So for example, I'm going to take this off from 75 to 100, cycle skip to none, and now you see 70% speed, 75, 60. It just runs kind of slow, right? See, it's running slow. But when I change it back to moderate, 75. This is the combination that I got to work with this game. Every game's different. Now it's back to normal. It's not perfect, but this was a hard game to run, so...
This is a big.
Okay. Let's test another game.
Johnny.
Okay, so this is another game I was having problems with until I changed the settings, okay? It's running slow. It's smooth now. Okay. I'll show you what it's running like before. So I got a moderate underclock. Put it on none. This is what it was running. So it's at 80% speed, 87. Game properties. Put that back to moderate, I believe I had. Give a few more examples. Okay, this game's a fantastic example.
Enthusia.
Slow down here and there. This game does have issues with like the marks on the screen. There's nothing you can do about that. 60 FPS, game properties, and I don't even have any setting changed here. 1080p, higher than 1080p. Let's do 3.5 native. See, it still runs smooth.
This is Ash. Maya, respond!
It's Maya. What's the matter, Ash?
I've sneaked in successfully, as planned. How you doing over there?
Doing well. I'm also inside.
Move out from here. Keep an eye out for any hostages.
Sounds good.
If anything happens, contact me right away. Now move out!
When facing a control panel,
Lock is released.